Hello indie game fans! As compared to the killer list of fully released indie games in September, the number of good early access titles were perhaps a little muted, but the top 5 in this list are certainly ones to keep an eye on. But as always, let's begin with some quick picks worth checking out. Nexoria Dungeon Rogue Heroes is a pixel art party-based roguelike dungeon crawler combining a turn-based combat system with the ever-popular mechanic in 2019, deck building. Not much of a story, just go forth and crawl dungeons, but each hero has a special perk and unique skill, so party composition is critical. Another roguelike deck builder makes the list with Devil's Deck, with exploration on a hex grid, very Slay the Spire looking random events, but with a combat system more akin to Magic the Gathering. It has 3 hero characters at the moment, with, for some reason, over 20 difficulty levels, but it looks like it has some interesting ideas, if a little bit rough around the edges.
Shut up.
Starpoint Gemini 3 is a sandbox space simulator that of course has mining, trading, crafting, freelancing and dogfighting. Playing as the roguish space captain Jonathan Bold, explore the galaxy while uncovering his backstory. I'm not the biggest fan of space games in quotes, so I can't comment on how this matches up, but the RPG progression looks good, with pretty graphics and seemingly loads to do. The co-op action game Unrailed has you working together with your friends to gather resources, clear a path, and build tracks to keep the train moving. It's quite a simple concept and great for a pick up and play experience, looking like a great addition to your local multiplayer gaming library. Especially so since there is absolutely no single player at all, but it has the same energy as something like an Overcooked. Session Skateboarding Sim Game seems like the next coming of the Skate series of games, beloved by many, but unfortunately not me. Not really my style of game, but I certainly appreciate what the developers are doing, giving the people what they want when companies like Electronic Arts won't. The trick system and controls seems to be quite interesting, really having a tactile feel linking your inputs to the execution of the tricks. Very happy that so many people love it, so if you're a fan of the genre, one to pick up. Moving on, here are the top 5 best early access indie games for September 2019. Mass Builder makes the top 5, not because it sponsored a previous video, but just because it is really as fast, fluid and stylish as is seen in the trailer, having you commanding giant robots to fight against an alien invasion. A ton of customization and progression elements adds to the gameplay loop, with more story chapters and even more parts to be added. I've been looking forward to the floating garbage city builder Flotsam for quite a while now, and I'm glad to say that it does not disappoint. The art style is very unique and simply beautiful, and the core city building mechanics are, shall we say, functional. scavenge the ocean for driftwood and plastic, recycle these and use it to construct ships and buildings for your town, to explore, gather food, research new technology, and survive. The structure of the game is what got people a little mixed on this, since your entire town can eventually travel to different areas of the ocean with new objectives and resources, but these scenarios are fixed, and once you complete the current set, you loop back to the beginning, which is quite a strange thing for a city builder. Nevertheless, I quite like it, and through the next year or so, they plan to add more biomes, landmarks, giant crafting projects, and even more stories about this flooded world. So a good start in my book, and looking forward to more content. Encased, a sci-fi post-apocalyptic RPG, follows in the footsteps of games like Wasteland, Underrail, and Atom RPG, which are games that are trying to bring back that post-apocalyptic isometric CRPG most commonly associated with Fallout 1 and 2. Character stats, skills, and equipment are the norm, as are dialogue choices, but the combat seems to be much more inspired by things like XCOM instead. Since it is in early access, this is not yet content complete, with Acts 2 and 3 to be added in the coming months, but a really great first impression, so something to check out. Atomic Crops touts itself as Stardew Valley crossed with a bullet hell shooter, and while technically not wrong, if you're looking for a chill farming sim, this is definitely the wrong place. However, I really like it since this has you exploring the wilderness in the day, gathering animal friends, items and seeds, and then planting said crops and defending them at night from the mutant creatures. It does demand quite a bit of multitasking, with digging up weeds, hoeing the land, watering the plants, avoiding bullets and firing back at enemies, but the whimsy of the pixel art and the charm of the setup is really compelling. It is quite the challenge, and the current metagame progression seems quite weak, mostly a high score chase at the moment, so we'll see how this turns out in the long run, but a good start for sure. Of course, Noita takes the #1 spot of the month, since this is a pixel art roguelike platformer where every pixel is simulated. This has a structure similar to games like Spelunky, having to adventure further and further into the world filled with traps and enemies. But the emergent scenarios and interactions are the main hook, from igniting gunpowder to extinguishing lava to turn it into a platform. Yet another example of high-bit pixel art in games. This is perhaps not the most beautiful graphically, but the sheer amount of simulation and physics is very impressive. This also has a star-studded team of developers behind the title, but as is tradition with roguelites, it's quite the challenge and can feel at times unfairly so. More polish and more content are the main things to be added through early access, but no major bugs and quite a great experience right now. For more of the best indie games, do check out the previous video or click on the recommended playlist, and I will see you after the jump.